Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a different reading vlog that might be a little controversial, a little upsetty spaghetti, but we're gonna do it. I've been so excited. I've had this idea for so freaking long, like as long as the series has been complete. But this concept came from Dylan Is in Trouble, who has a movie commentary channel, and on his channel he watches the first, sometimes second episode of a TV series and then watches the last, which is usually like a 7-series type of, or 7-season expansive series. I'm not doing it to that scale. If you want to see something from that scale, check out How to Train Your Gavin, who's done this I think twice and got so much hate that he stopped doing it because it wasn't fun. So here we are. I'm doing it too. He did beat me to it, and kudos to him because he will forever do it so much better than me. But The Inheritance Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the series that I have chosen. I've had this first book in the series for a while. I've been really interested in reading it and wanting to. There was a lot of hype around it. And then, finally, the third book came out. And I had not yet read the series. I still have not read this first book. We're going to do that together. But I heard a lot of mixed things about the second book, about it not being good. This was meant to be a duology, and so publishers obviously are very greedy, you know. So it got drawn out into a 3-book series. The 4th book did just get announced. It's from like 2 of the brothers' POV for the first book. Whatever. So yeah, I will be reading these because the second book has not had great reviews. It's apparently very boring and bland, and like there's nothing going on in it. So I'm gonna read the first book, and then I'm gonna read the last book, and we're gonna discuss about if I understood everything that happened, if the second book was really necessary. Is there a major point to this video? No, but I'm hoping to figure out all the puzzle pieces and like get full context from just these two. So that's kind of the plan for this video. There will be spoilers, especially for the third book. I'm going to try not to spoil this one unless I have like a lot to say about it. But we're going to jump into this first book in the series. This is a series following our main character, Kylie Grams, I've learned, who is a junior in high school. And she's had like a kind of rough time, doesn't know her father. Her mother died when she was a bit younger, and so she's staying with her half-sister, who's in an abusive relationship, at this guy's apartment. It's not a good time. She's very smart, though. She's incredibly smart. She plays chess with this guy all the time. It's very sweet, very cute. So that's like our setup for this main character, and she is called into the principal's office one day with her sister and this random man in a nice suit, and is basically told that she has to come to the reading of this rich billionaire's will in Texas. She has no clue who this man is. She's got no connections to him, doesn't understand anything that's going on, and she's her presence must be at the reading because she's in it, of course. Everything has been left to her, and she again does not know this man, and the only like stipulation for her to get all of his properties and all of his billions of dollars is to live in the Hawthorne house with the rest of his family, who are kind of crazy, to live with them for 1 full year. If she decides not to stay there for the full year, all of the money that she was going to be given will go to charities instead, and not the family. And any family member that tries to go against his wishes upon the grave, they will be cut out of the will, because they all got a little bit of money, like, you know, $250,000, just a little bit though. And so yeah, I have read the first 100 pages. I've been sitting on this. I've just been meaning to start it. It's very easy to read, very fast, very quick. I don't love it. The characters are super annoying. I don't really like them. The best friend, Max, who is a virtual friend, because like Max moved away when they were kids or something. I know this is YA. I get it. But like our main character is what, 17, and hanging out with these 4 brothers and the family, and they're all like 16 up or whatever. I don't actually know how old all of them are, but like 2 of the older brothers are graduated from high school. One's in high school with her, one's youngest but still in high school with them, or at least the school, maybe middle. I don't know. The ages, I don't know. I don't get it. Anywho's. Oh, Max. Ugh. So we've got these like mature high school characters, and you're gonna tell me that we're not gonna cuss in this? I hate Max so much. One, she's pointless. There's no point in having like this virtual friend that we don't really see, don't really know, except for the fact that she has very strict parents, so she can't curse on her phone or phone calls or anything. And so even when our main character is in her head, she still won't cuss because she's like, oh, I gotta channel my best friend and say things like foxes or whatever instead of just saying fuck. And it's so fucking annoying. It, like, if you're going to cuss, cuss. If you're not going to, just don't. Like, it's not necessary. It's one thing at, like, if it happens twice in the book to, like, understand Max's character, that is one thing. But how often it has happened in the first 100 pages is driving me insane. I hate it. So, that's happening. All of the characters are kind of boring. I don't really like anyone. There's the 4 brothers, like I mentioned. There's Grayson, who is, like, supposed to be heir to the Hawthorne legacy. He's supposed to be, like, the boss pants. Then there's his older brother, Nash, who is a nomad, doesn't care, like, would go live on the beach if he could, but keeps coming back for, like, the money. And then there's Jameson, who loves the puzzles and riddles. He's been fun so far. He's also in high school with Avery. And then their youngest brother, I don't remember his name. He's like your juvenile comedic relief, doesn't hate her. And basically, so far, her and Jameson have decided that they're going to work somewhat together to share the letters that they've gotten and the clues and learn more about the secret passageways in the house together, but also like solve this riddle because they believe, at least Jameson, I don't know about the other brothers yet, but they believe that Avery is a part of this masterful, gigantic game that the grandpa set up before he died because he loves riddles. His house is full of secret passages. He's like a kooky little old man who donates a lot to charity, so it's fine. Yeah, but that's basically everything that's happened so far. Again, this is a very easy read. I had to force myself to stop because I could have easily just like kept on reading, but I have plans later this evening, like in the next 15 minutes, so I won't be able to pick this up for a little bit. But the audiobook was 4 hours and 45 minutes long at 2.25 speed while I read along. So I will be able to finish this rather quickly, and then this one will take me 5 hours. I will probably be up a little bit late tonight and just try and read as much as I can and then finish them off tomorrow. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. I'm hoping for a fun, good time. I've heard a lot of hype about these, but like the characters are so annoying, and I know there's like love triangles. Which brother is she gonna pick? Here's the thing. We don't yet know if she's actually related to any of them, like if maybe her dad wasn't really her dad or whatever, because that's a lot of like the conspiracies going around right now. But I understand from like pre-context of not only young and old YA books, but also like just the genre as a whole and what I've seen on the internet. So I know that there's love interest between at least 2 of the brothers, if not 3. I predict that Nash will be with Libby, who just left her abusive boyfriend to like move in. Didn't know she was even in this book, but that's fun. So yeah, it's okay. I'm hoping that the characters get better. I'm really hoping for fun secret passageways and riddles and like this big, really interesting and fun mystery. That's what I'm hoping to get out of this. I don't really care about the romance or the characters, but if there's a fun time that's kind of like Caraval-esque where like everything's a game, like I'm here for the vibes. I also love the cover. So yes, I'm gonna keep reading this. There's gonna be sprints going on tonight. There's a lot going on the booktube sphere. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm gonna keep on reading. Check in with you probably in another 100 pages or so, and then kind of just go from there and we'll chit chat. This one is like less exciting to talk about. It'll be fun when we get to the final gambit. If I say Queen's Gambit at any point, I am so sorry. I can't help myself. Okay. Good morning. Hi. So I made it another 150 pages. I'm almost done. We're getting there. And I'm enjoying it enough. It's very quick. It's very fun and easy to read, which I do enjoy. The chapters are so very short, which is great. And I like that each chapter ends kind of like a cliffhanger. Like it leaves something to be desired in the next chapter. You're like, oh, what's this person gonna say, or what's this clue gonna mean? And it's not like puzzles you yourself can really solve. Every reveal has been obvious so far, and she acts like she'll tell you, she's like, oh yeah, this was obvious, but yet like it's so over explained, as well as the fact that like we're getting foreshadowing from this dead character, Emily, who died, and like there's a mystery around that, and like how the brothers had something to do with it, because there was a love triangle, of course. I am enjoying the assassination attempt on her life. That was interesting. So yeah, it's going. I'm ready for Mac's character to be completely out of the picture. She's so useless and boring, and I hate the way that they communicate. But other than that, yeah, it's just a very quick, enjoyable time. But I will finish this up. It's Mother's Day, so I'm heading over to my mom's. We're going to brunch with all the girls. And so I'm going to finish this up and then jump into the next one, and I'll keep you guys posted. I've done it. So around the 340 mark is when the reveals start to come, and they weren't surprising or shocking, but again, like, it's not a thriller, it's a mystery, so it's not meant to be like jaw-dropping, wow, but at the same time, like, I suspected a lot of what was happening. I didn't necessarily guess everything, but it's just like a little weird. Hey, bud. But it is just like a little bit weird how this old man's taken a liking to this girl for the reasons that we find out, at least for what we think we find out. Hi. And I thought it was fine. It was a little weird, though. A little strange. Everything that this was kind of revolving around with Emily, I didn't really like a whole lot, I'll be honest. It wasn't my favorite plot device. I don't know. Something about it just was kind of weird for me. But I have now finished this. We leave off with an epilogue, which I think is so weird. I get it, but anyway. So we leave off with the epilogue from Xander's perspective when he is getting the clue for the next mystery. And because, from my knowledge, this was meant to be a duology before the publishers decided to make it 3, or maybe the author did, I don't know. But it makes sense for what the clue is, what the second book would be about. But since it's been split into 2, I'm wondering how much of this clue happens in the second book versus where it goes in the final gambit. So I think that this is gonna get 3.5 stars, because it's good. It's just like much more YA. The characters are really obnoxious. The narrator for the audiobook is not great. I'm sorry. Not very good. I didn't really like the narrator. But it's a very quick, very easy read. So if you want something to kind of just have some type of escapism, it is a good book for that. It is a fun mystery at the end of the day. Honestly, I wanted more rich, nonsensical stuff, but, you know, it's fine. I'm going to start getting to spoilers now. If you're not interested, goodbye. Thank you for watching up until this point. We're going to talk about the mystery of where this leaves off and what the next books are to be about. So in the epilogue, we find out that Xander was promised to get his own type of game. Their grandpa, Tobias Toby Hawthorne, really loves riddles and games and challenges, similar to how Avery was raised with her mom. And so Xander's mission was to make sure that specifically Gray and Jamie, Grayson and Jamie, two of the four brothers, to make sure that they followed through with all of these clues and made sure that they completed through the finish line, which felt a little bit anticlimactic because, like, they go through all these clues with Avery, and she's like a big part of this puzzle piece, and yet once, like, she helps them, like, they're just kind of given these letters, for whatever reason. Like, they think all of this is about Emily and Emily's death, but they get to the very end and, like, there's just, like, letters for them. The will doesn't change or anything, but we find out at, like, the very end that Avery has basically been stalked by this old rich man since she was 6 years old, which makes me uncomfortable. And then we find out that Harry is Toby, which I knew he was going to be alive. That was not a surprise at the end. That reveal, I was like, yeah, I didn't think he was going to be Harry, which only makes it worse that he's basically been stalking this 6-year-old up until the point where she turned 16 or 17, just to include her in his will to fake his death, and then go play chess with her so that every time she beats him, she has to buy him breakfast because he's homeless and poor, even though he was like a billionaire. Weird. I don't know. That's weird. I don't know what to tell you about that, but Xander is promised if he gets his brothers through the finish line at the end, then he will get his own mystery to solve, which is to find Tobias. She sees a photo of Toby in the grandma's locket, and she's like, oh, that's Harry. I know him very well. I played chess with him, like, all the frickin' time. And now Xander just, like, destroyed his letter from the grandpa's finale, saying, find me. So, yeah, I don't know. It was a little bit unsatisfying of an end, if I'm going to be entirely honest. I was like, okay, weird, but alright. So, now, luckily, I have the first 3 chapters of Hawthorne Legacy that I'm going to read and see, like, where the mystery picks up. Obviously, it's not going to give me a lot of the second book, but once I finish that, I will jump into the final Gambit and hopefully get that finished today. We will see chapter 1 of the Hawthorne Legacy, book 2. Tell me again about the first time the two of you played chess in the park. Jameson's face was candlelit, but even in the scant light, I could see the gleam in his dark green eyes. Ooh. Also, I will note, the romances seem forced. They seem, just very forced. It's very like, oh, she's not Emily, but she's kind of like Emily, so I can like her because she reminds me of Emily. But also, like, she's a pawn in our game, but all of the sudden she, like, 180s and she's like, oh, but Grayson, like, I don't get it. You like Jameson until you felt like you were a pawn in his game, which you are a distraction. That's why she kissed him, is to distract herself, not because she had any emotions or feelings towards him in that way, except for, like, he's hot. And then all of a sudden, like, she's, like, kind of putting a move on Grayson out of nowhere when he is just, like, being nice to her, because, you know, she's the heir to the fortune of the family. So he's like trying to protect her. And then suddenly she tries to make a move on him, and I'm like, there's no advances of these relationships that make any sense to me. Like, there shouldn't be romance in these books, but there are because it's YA, so of course. But that's my final rant. Okay, I'm gonna read this. I will check in with you guys after that, and then I will get started on the next book. Huzzah. Okay, quick clarification. Tobias Hawthorne is dead. It's Toby the second who is alive, which is their uncle who is still alive, who she's been playing chess with in the park. I hate legacy books with like same names. It gets really confusing, but Toby is alive, Tobias is apparently dead. We'll see. Okay, hi. So I just started. It's so much later. I'm on page 2. I was going to give predictions of like what I think was going to happen in the second book and then kind of go from there. So when I was thinking about those predictions, I was like, okay, in the second book, I think that her father is obviously going to be a bigger player, so they're either going to have some kind of reunion, maybe like an After by Anna Todd type of fatherly reunion where like it seems innocent at first and it seems like it's going well, and then there's a big betrayal or like the dad dies or something dramatic happens. That was my first instinctual guess. And then after that I was like, okay, and then they're gonna get closer to finding Toby back in Connecticut or wherever he ends up, but that's not gonna be like the full final objective. Like, it's going to still happen in this one. It's not gonna get finished or finalized. But they're talking about her 18th birthday, and it's coming up, and the first week of November will be 1 year of living in the house. So we are a solid 11 months into this, which is so wild because the first book was only 2 weeks, and now it's like 11 months later. So a lot has clearly happened in the second book that I'm obviously missing out on because I didn't read it. But then it just jumps right into being like, moping check, a living, breathing, blah, 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 Avery, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you need distraction right now? And how attached are you to your eyebrows? Jameson was on the other side of the world. Grayson hadn't called once since he left for Harvard. Xander, my self-appointed best Hawthorne friend forever, considered it his sacred duty to keep me in high spirits in his brother's absence. So that would mean that something happened in the second book in which the boys felt like it was time to part ways. We also know that Jameson challenged Avery to find was like, I bet you can't find all the passages in our house, like in the Hawthorne house, you can't find all the secret passages. So like, that's what she's doing in his absence. And so I'm assuming that the romance went towards Grayson at some point in the book, and it caused a wedge between the two boys again, because a girl got in the way of their sibling brotherly relationship, and that's why they're gone. Which is giving me, did I mention I Love You trilogy? Not good. Don't recommend. It's a romance. It's a stepbrother romance. Be cautious. But it's giving that vibe where it's like, oh, we got in the way of the relationship and blah, blah, blah. And now we're no longer good brothers again. So I'm going to go to Harvard and you're going to go across the country to like travel and find yourself. And we'll just leave this girl with the $46 billion that our grandfather gave her. So yeah, that's what's going on. I'm gonna keep reading. I will check in either tonight or probably tomorrow. So, see how confused I get. I'm back. It truly amazes me just how much authors tell you about the previous book, like in no time at all. Why Toby had snatched it back from me before he disappeared and off to play dead again. So they did find Toby, and they found a disc from him, which had correlation to her dead mother, and so like she's trying to figure out what this big secret that her mom was keeping from her since like her 15th birthday, and then she died, and she never found out what the secret was. And now there's some disc that Toby had, but then Toby disappeared again to play dead, and now they're trying to figure out what that disc is for. Toby and that disc were the last connections to my mother, and they were gone. It hurts to think about that for too long. So Jameson is in Tuscany right now. Wasn't also in like Siena and Florence, and going to different, like this villa that Avery now owns, to find clues as to what this disc is for and what it means. So I guess we met Toby in the last book and everything was fine there, and now this is just going to be concluding like what the mom's big secret was about her birth and like this disc and stuff, which I will admit is way less intriguing. I care far more about the Hawthorne's mysteries and secrets and games rather than like her mom just like unfortunately dying young. I don't know. I will keep reading, but I'm not as intrigued. But it seems like her and Jameson are still good. So something happened with Grayson. Maybe she chose Jameson over him. I don't know. But okay. Just more things keep happening. So there was another attempt on her life. And she was kidnapped not by Ricky nor Sky, which was the Hawthorne's brother's mother who tried to kill her in the first book. So they both tried to kill her in book 1 and book 2. But they got out of jail for a third attempt on her life that they didn't orchestrate, so they're not being held liable for the first attempts. Okay. Yeah, sure. That makes sense. What I did not expect was that chapter 6, that Toby had a daughter of his own, and her name is Eve. I was not expecting that. That was shocking. Okay. This is just me checking in. I'm on chapter 6. I'm literally on page 20. And it's laid out basically all of the second book for me, so I don't feel like I've missed out on a whole lot. I am intrigued based off what has been said. Like, the action of the second book does sound interesting, which goes contrary to every review I've heard of the second book, which just like emphasizes the love triangle and gives basically no plot. So I am a little bit intrigued because that what I'm hearing happened in the second book is so vastly different from the reviews that I've seen. But at the same time, like, our Avery is indefinitely dating Jameson and chose him over Grayson, and Grayson had some like breakdown of some sort and saw himself as broken. So like, I don't care. I'm gonna be honest, none of the characters in the first book were very enticing, so I don't actually care about anything. But I would say that the romance between Jameson and Avery does make more sense, so fine by me. But now I'm gonna hopefully continue reading and stop checking in to spoil everything for you. But I'm learning all of the things about the second book. None of them are technically what I was thinking happened for the second book. So, bye. Okay, hi. Final Gambit. I am now on page 146, chapter 37. So I'm about a third of the way through, and I'm going to finish this tonight. What are my predictions? Right now, basically the mystery that we are solving is why Avery, and where, like, what's going on with Toby. Like, who's kidnapped him? Where's he gone? How can we help him? Those are, like, the two mysteries. I don't know what I think. I don't know. This is hard to predict. It's not one of those stories where there's, like, multiple theories going around until, like, the character gives you a theory, but then the theory becomes correct. Like, all assumptions that Avery makes turns out correct. So it doesn't really give you time to, like, marinate longer in any of the theories or have, like, multiples of them to choose from, because it's just, like, Avery's, like, you know, it's probably this. And then like 3 chapters later, it's like, it was. Good job, Avery. You're so smart. And it's like, I get it, but it doesn't make it as fun of a story. But part of me thinks that Tobias, the original, faked his death, just like Toby. And I think that he's like a silent, behind-the-scenes guy, and at the very end, he's going to be like, good job, everybody. You all played together so well. Here's the actual will. Everybody on my team was in on it. Now I'm splitting the money up between the 4 grandsons and Avery and Eve and everybody else involved. That's my outlandish assumption. From what we've gathered so far, we understand that Toby has been kidnapped by a family member who's like outside of the family. So not somebody who claims to be a Hawthorne and like a part of the will or anything, just like someone on the outskirts, but still somehow blood related. So that's kind of what I know so far. And so I think that they're going to obviously get Toby and everything's going to be fine. They're all going to live happily ever after. But yeah, I do enjoy the romance between Jameson and Avery. I wish that their communication was just a little bit better. But I'll digress. She's 18. It's fine. Hello. I have just finished the final gambit. And I wouldn't say any of like my predictions came true. Tobias Hawthorne was not actually alive. He did die. The twists weren't super twisty. Mainly because it's hard for a story like this to lay out evidence when it always is so heavy-handed, I guess. Like, it's a very in-your-face, like, you know what characters can and can't be trusted. You know who is a reliable character and assistant, and you know from the get-go, like, who to trust. One of my big thoughts that I didn't share with you was that the bodyguard Oren was going to be like the big bad or had some type of stake in everything going on, and I'm so happy that he was just a ray of sunshine. Not literally, but he was a very nice character. I really loved him. I really loved the found family towards the end of this. I thought it was actually really nice. Grayson is kind of a little bitch, I won't lie. I don't get the hype around him. He's like trying to be like really cool, bad boy, whatever. It was so, but I did like the relationship with Jameson. I liked Nash and Libby. I liked Xander. It was very fun. Again, I wouldn't say that I love the narrator for the books, but that's okay. I still had a good time and I was able to read them much quicker because of that. But yeah, none of my predictions really panned out, which means that this video didn't really have a concrete purpose. Like, I wasn't able to solve the mysteries because there weren't really mysteries to solve. The big question is who kidnapped Toby. We figure that out, and it's not something that you would be able to guess the why until it gets revealed. It's not something where like the puzzle pieces are laid early on for you to figure it out. Like, you just hope for the best. Like, you're just kind of there for the ride. You wouldn't guess it. So we know what happened to Toby and why. And the other big mystery throughout the novels is why Avery. And it felt so convenient. Like, if you think about it, it really takes you out of the story because it's so unrealistic. But when you're in like the meat of the story, it's very fun. You're like, wow, this is so crazy. Imagine being so smart and good at puzzles and riddles that like you would think of these things. Like, I will give credit to Jennifer Lynn Barn. Great job. Like, these are very fun, very quick reads. I like the puzzles and stuff. It's not something that we would figure out like maybe a mystery thriller you would. It's not laid out in the same way, but it is fun to see the characters work it out and figure it out, because I couldn't do it. But the ending mystery of why Avery was a bit of a letdown, I would say. I wasn't really compelled with the why. It was a lot of like luck And I understand the whole, like, taking risks and, like, statistics, taking the chance of the gamble and, like, figuring out the odds, like, playing chess, like, you think 4 steps ahead. Like, I get the gist and, like, I understand it, but I didn't like it because it didn't feel realistic. Like, there's no way that this grumpy old man who's never met this girl just knew all of this stuff and knew that she would have figured it all out and, like, followed the exact timeline and puzzle piece. But either way, I've done read them. This video was a little bit of a flop. I wasn't able to guess what happened in the second book. But you don't need to read the second book. That was the gist of the video, I suppose. You didn't need to read it. The only thing from the second book that I did feel like I missed out on was the mystery surrounding her mom. So yeah, the only thing that I didn't, like, figure out from the context of the third book that happened in the second was what the mystery with the mom was, and, like, the mom and Toby's, like, love affair and relationship. That's the only thing that I don't have, like, concrete answers on that I was interested in, but everything else was kind of, like, laid out for me in the third book. So it wasn't really needed. Like, there was a bomb, some kind of kidnapping. Grayson and her had, like, some moments, but it was never, like, a real. I would not ever believe Grayson and Avery's relationship, and that boy needs years of therapy. So that's the final review. This is 3.5. I think I'm gonna give this one a 4-star. I actually really enjoyed the journey that we went on, and once you fall in love with the characters, so it's a lot more fun to sit with them and solve these puzzles and, like, see the found family of it, especially towards the end. I like the capitalism's bad, people who are rich kind of suck at the very end of this, where you're like, oh yeah, I get it. Rich kids figuring out, like, their grandpa was actually not great because money and power checks out. So yes, I've read this. I probably won't be picking up the second. There was moments in the third book where it would say something and I'm like, do I want to read the second? But now that I've concluded it and I know the majority of what happened in the second book, because there were so many flashbacks, I feel satisfied. I feel complete. I feel good. So that's the gist of the video. Did this work out the way I wanted it to? Who's to say? But if you enjoyed this, great. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I'll see you guys soon for my next video. Bye.